that my dad worked from a very young age. Despite that, he had so many great stories from his childhood. And any of you who knew him well probably heard a lot of them. A lot of times, he liked to tell stories. He grew up in Dunlap, and him and his brothers pretty much just ran wild. There was no school up there at the time, so my dad and his brothers and a couple of the other mountain kids hitchhiked to school every day for over a year. And so finally the school district broke down and bought a bus for them. And now they even have schools up there, so my dad was a little bit of a trendsetter. He liked to tell the story of how he and his brothers had a contest one year to see who could go the longest without washing their jeans. And back then, you usually got one pair of jeans to last you for the year. So he was pretty proud that by the end of the school year, he could lean his jeans up against the wall and they would stand up by themselves. So he won the contest, and that they smelled good. Some of the stories he told were about crazy things they liked to do. He used to like to tell the story of how they would drive around up in the mountains without their headlights on because they were so confident that they knew every twist and turn up there. And apparently they did, because he never went off the side, so he did that. But you know, after hearing so many of his stories, the crazy things that they did, I'm surprised he made it as long as he did. So somebody was definitely watching out for him. My dad joined the Air Force during the Korean War and was stationed in Germany for 3 years. While he was in Germany, he had the opportunity, or while he was in the Air Force, he had the opportunity to travel all over. He's been to Europe and Africa and Iceland and you name it. He was able to travel all over. And some of his favorite stories to tell, as many of you probably know, are from his Air Force years. I think that was a really good chapter of his life. On top of his travels, he had some crazy experiences over there too. He had a car accident on the Autobahn, and liked to tell the story how when he got out of the car, his kneecap was over on the side. He had dislocated his kneecap, and he was in a plane that got hit by lightning. He said he was sitting in the chair, got up to get something, and the lightning struck right in where he had been sitting. He was on a plane once that had technical difficulties, so mid-flight, he climbed out inside the wing of the plane and repaired the problem. So he had some fun experiences there too. His willingness to go the extra mile, though, paid off, and he was so proud of the fact that he earned 4 stripes in the amount of time that most airmen earn 2. He took great pride in that. He was a staff sergeant and he was a crew chief in the Air Force. While he was in Germany, he became fairly fluent in German. He used to have his little catchphrases that he would say to us. One of them, anytime we would ask him for money, he'd say, "Nix haben kein Geld." It means I don't have any money. He used to say that to us all the time. He also learned to ice skate when he was over there. I never saw proof of that, but that's what he told us. And I didn't learn until just a couple years ago, but he said he used to put together model cars and toys, and he would take them to an orphanage that was not far from the base that he lived. He lived very modestly while he was over there, and he sent most of his money home to his mom and his little brother because his father had passed away. So he was helping to support the family even from overseas. My parents met after my dad got out of the service, and he loved to tell the story of the first time he saw my mom in cut-off jeans, and he knew she was the girl he was going to marry. My mom never liked the story, but he loved to tell it. My mom's dad also knew that my dad had plans, so he moved her off to Oklahoma. And they corresponded for over a year, and that was before cell phones and computers, so it was just written letters for over a year. And finally my dad told her, "I'm going to come get you, I'm tired of waiting." So my grandpa knew he'd been beat, he brought her back, and they got married a week after she got back from Oklahoma. And they were married on June 21st, 1959. They were married for 59 years, that's a long time. And they had 3 children, my sister Dee Dee, my brother Rick, and myself. They have 11 grandchildren, and they have 8 great-grandchildren. And as you can see by the slideshow, my grandpa loved his kids. He was very involved with the kids. always holding them, feeding them, playing with them. He was a wonderful, wonderful grandpa and great-grandpa. My dad worked as an auto mechanic all of his life. He worked for Ford for a short time, and then he spent 30 years at Martin Chevrolet. Met many lifelong friends there, some of whom were here today. My dad loved Harleys, not just motorcycles, Harleys. He always owned a bike when I was growing up, and he rode until the age of 74. And he only quit riding because he wrecked his bike into an RV. We used to tease him, you couldn't hit a Volkswagen, you had to hit an RV, right? And the guy driving the RV said he felt the impact, and he looked in the rearview mirror and he could just see my dad going down the road. And he walked away with about 5 little raspberries about that big. Didn't break a single bone, didn't knock him out, nothing. So, but he decided it was time to hang it up then, so he sold his bike. But despite that, his love for Harleys never faded, and that's why my brother and his family honored that today. They all wore their Harley shirts and rode their Harleys here. So that was out of honor to my dad and his love for Harleys. He had various other pastimes throughout the years. He got really into CB radios for a while, and his handle was Grasshopper. I was never quite sure why he picked that. Grandpa did?
Because he had a car in himself.
Gotcha. He restored a 1965 Mustang in our driveway. And we used to like to camp. I have a lot of fond memories of camping and fishing up at Pine Flat. When I was young, we used to spend every summer in Oklahoma. I don't know a lot of people who would drive across country to hang out with the in-laws for 2 weeks, but my dad did it every single summer, even though us kids wanted to go pretty much any place else. My dad was undeniably a family man. Family always came first. My parents retired to Arizona in 1995. They had 5.5 acres that my dad really enjoyed tending. They stayed there for about 15 years until his health started failing and they moved back here. In 2010, my dad had a surgery where they had to remove a portion of his bowel. About 6 months later, he had to have the upper lobe of his left lung removed due to lung cancer. And this was already following a surgery in 1975 where they removed half of his stomach due to ulcers. So our family joke was that he wasn't half the man he used to be. But he just kept right on ticking. We also teased him that he had 9 lives because there were so many times that things happened that he really shouldn't, have survived, but he always survived it. My dad wasn't raised in a particularly religious household, but when I was a child, he found religion and he made sure that my brothers and sisters and I had a religious foundation. We attended the Southern Baptist Church all of my growing up years. My entire family was baptized and we regularly attended. My dad used to joke that we were there every time the doors were open, and we pretty much were. As you can tell from our last name, we're Scottish. Our clan motto is Vincere Vel Mori, which means to conquer or die. And my dad was definitely a conqueror. He may not have accumulated a lot of material wealth, but he was rich in the ways that matter. He was adored and respected as a father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. There's been 5 people so far in our family named after him. Myself, my sister's son, Tyler Paul, my brother's son, Jason Paul, and my son, Ryan Paul. And my nephew, Justin, named his son, Matthew Paul. Matthew's not here today, but that was my dad's first great-grandson, so we're carrying on the tradition with the great-grandchildren. My dad epitomized what a father should be. He was a hard worker. He was always dependable. I don't remember one single time that my dad didn't come straight home from work. We ate dinner together every evening. We went to visit my grandma in Selma every Sunday. We had a dog and cat and birds. We grew a garden in our backyard. We went to the fair every year. We went to Oklahoma every summer. And in my entire life, I never saw my dad drink a drop of alcohol. My childhood was predictable and boring, and for that I'm eternally grateful. Because unfortunately the same hasn't been true of my adult life. My dad used to love to tell his story of how he had warned my mom that all the McNiel men die young. And then he used to say that he sure got one over on her because he made it into his 80s, so he sure fooled her. He lived a long life. and it was full of both ordinary and amazing experiences. And I hope he knew how much he mattered to all of us. And by that, not just my family, to all of us here. And I hope wherever he is, he's eating anything he wants. He never has a bellyache, and he never feels overfull. Thank you, and my son Ryan would like to say a few words.
My name is Ryan, and I am Paul's grandson, Paul's son. I just want to first of all thank everyone for being here today and sending all your love to our family this past week. It sure means a lot to all of us. My grandpa Paul, he was a simple man. He didn't always have much, but he was extremely proud of what he did have. He loved his Harleys, he loved his Arizona Diamondbacks, he loved his country, and most of all, he loved his family. Growing up, my grandfather taught me that family was the most important thing in your life. He was always there for all of us whenever we needed him, rain or shine, day or night. I have many fond memories of my grandpa growing up. He always had a quirky personality about him, and every time he told a joke, it would light up the room, even though most of the time we didn't think they were that funny. He loved reminiscing on his time in the service and shared many amazing stories with all of us about his time in Germany during the Korean War. He had unique nicknames for everyone. He called my mom Gomer, he called me and my brother Buckshot, just to name a few. Every time he pulled up to my mom's house in that Buick, he had his same black shirt, those black loafers, and that Air Force cap perched at the top of his head. And every time he came in, I'd always ask him, "How's it going today, Grandpa?" And he'd always tell me, "I don't know, no one's told me yet." That was the running joke every single time I saw him. That was the same line he would give us. I'll always remember hitting golf balls out on his gravel driveway in Arizona. Watching him every morning get up and tend to his yard. He loved to tend to his yard, those 5 acres that he had in Arizona. And then seeing him get dressed in his best Scottish garb when we go to the Highland Games and Rick's wedding. And then I always remember him over at our house when the Diamondbacks won the World Series in 2001 and watching his face light up and just saying, "We did it, we did it." He was so excited. He really followed his Diamondbacks ever since he moved to Arizona. He loved watching them. Another fond memory that I have of my grandpa is every time we got together as a family, he always wanted to have strawberry lawn cake. And it wasn't strawberry shortcake, and he would always correct the kids. We'd get mad at him and say, "Grandpa, it's strawberry shortcake." And he would tell us, "No, it's strawberry lawn cake." And that was the running joke with him. So every time we got together, we'd always have homemade ice cream and strawberry lawn cake. He always told all of us how much he loved us and how proud of us he was, even as his health began to gradually decline. I'm very thankful that he was able to form a relationship with my 2 daughters over here, Emily and Ashlyn. He always called them his pretty little girls, and it means the world to me that he was able to form a bond with them. And he always never forget to bring a sucker for them every single time he came over. He always wore those plaid shirts with 2 pockets, and he put the suckers in his pocket, and then he kind of tried to surprise them and see, I got the suckers, but they had to give him a hug first, and I think they both agreed that it was a fair trade. I just want to say, Grandpa, that we all love you and we miss you, and more than any words could ever begin to elaborate, and just hope you're doing well up there, and I just want to end with Syria Bell Mori. Conquer or die. Thank you. I'd like to welcome anybody that would like to come up today and speak and share a few words with us. We greatly appreciate it. So the floor is open to anyone that would like.
Most of you don't know me, but I don't ever remember not knowing Betty.
We were cousins before we knew we weren't.
My mom and dad moved to California when I was 8 months old. And from that moment on, I was drafted into the Buell family. Her grandma and grandpa were my grandpa. And I didn't even know we weren't related until we were teenagers. But her aunt married my dad's twin brother, and so we came here. But I want to tell you my memory of Betty and Paul's love story. I'll never forget when her parents finally brought her back to California. She called in to let him know she was there, and then her and Ginger came down to my house, and we were walking back to Grandma and Grandpa's house. She didn't expect Paul to break all the speed limits between Reedley and New London, you know, but I think he did because he was there in short order. In that 55 Ford, I think it was green on green. And us three girls walking, we saw that car pull up, shoo, into Grandma's driveway. And he popped out of the car and looked down the road. And I'll never forget Betty had on flip-flops. And she took off running, and he came towards her, and they met in the middle of the road, and that's why they were married a week later, Paula. It was a beautiful story. I'll never forget it. It's very vivid in my mind. And I just wanted to share that memory with all of you.
Hi, my name's John. Dad was my father-in-law for most of my adult life. I can never forget the first time he and I met. I had known Dee Dee for a little while. We had met working at the Foster's Freeze, and I asked her out on a date. And so I went to go pick her up at her house. And Dad was there in his rocking chair. And I came in to the living room, and Dee Dee was still getting ready. And I sat down on the couch. And Dad pulled out a pistol and started cleaning it. This is an absolutely true story. I was probably 19 and a half, maybe just 20 at the time. And I was so naive, I did not understand what that meant. Fortunately, we ended up having a lot to talk about. Thank you, Dee Dee, for being late on that date. It was only about 5 or 10 minutes. We were still getting ready. But we started talking, and I was interested in aviation, and I'd gone to airplane mechanic school, and Dad had been an aircraft mechanic in the Air Force, and so we always had plenty of things to talk about. Maybe I was one of those people that enjoyed his Air Force stories more than most. Fortunately, he was also able to listen to a few of my Air Force stories later in my career when I was in and after I got out of the Air Force. I loved him. He was a great person. He had his flaws like everybody that I know, but he tried really hard to be a good father and a good grandfather and a good father-in-law and a good husband. I think that's all we can ask of any of us, is to try really hard. Betty was married to that man her entire grown-up life. And so, for me, I'm going to miss him a lot. I think Mom's, right now, I think she's missing him a lot too. I think at this moment, it's not that all of us don't care, because I know everybody here cares about Paul and all of the family that he helped put together. But right now I'm talking to you, Betty, because I love you.
I love you too, John.
And I want you to know that there's tens and tens of people here they care about you too.
I see them.
And we're going to be with you. And you get to call us whenever you want. I think I remember when my grandparents passed away about 20 years ago or so. And I remember it took a while for me to get it all, for it to all sink in. And I'm afraid today it's when it's really sinking in that Dad's gone. I'm going to miss him. I miss him right now. And I know there are a lot of people miss him. So, thank you for your time today. And remember that change is hard sometimes, but there's people out there that love you, and there's people out there that you get to love, so we can all get through this change together.